Hello and welcome to a quick training video on how to add a web to lead form in Zoho CRM in order to capture leads from your website or some other source. So to do this would be the admin function on the setup screen, and this of course uses the leads, so it goes down to the lead settings, lead module, web to lead form. Now first thing we need to do is to create a new web form. Now, depending on your license, you can create any number of web forms. That could be, for example, very general contact forms, or more specific specialist campaign forms that you need to capture more detailed information from your leads. So for this demo, we're just going to do a very general contact us form. And the return URL is the URL that you want to transfer the lead to after they click submit on your web form. Now normally this would be a thank you page or something like that on your website, so you would need to get that from your web developer and determine the thank you page URL and insert it in here. The domain name is where you're going to host this web form if you're not sure, or if you're going to host it in multiple domains. That's very possible. Then you can just simply put in a star here. And the next step here is to put in the fields that you wish to capture. Now, for example, if you have not added any custom fields in the lead module, then the standard lead fields from Zoho will appear here. If you wish to capture more specific information that is not a standard field in Zoho CRM, then of course you would need to add that first as a custom field on the lead module before you create your web form. For this example, because it's a general contact form, I'm just going to say company, first name, last name, and mobile. Something like that. The next step, lead assignment. These are three options where you can either enable manual lead approval. That is where a user in the CRM, typically an admin user or super user, would come in and manually approve sales leads that are entered via the web to lead form. They would approve them and assign them in a single process. This is if you want someone to monitor the leads before they go into the salespeople. Or the second option is select as a user as the owner. So I can select one specific user as the owner on all web leads that come into my CRM. It's kind of the same thing, but they would be actually physically assigned to that user, and that user would get an alert to tell them that a new lead has come in. The next one is more specific. You can create a lead assignment rules based on a region or based on a product, any kind of rule that you like, and then that way in the rule you specify who the lead will go to. And remember, this is based on the web lead form that you are designing. So obviously these ones here are for Thailand. It's a regional rule. But if I have a product, for example product A, I assign to Bill Smith. That would be on a different form, so those web leads would go to Bill, and so on. So I can create any number of lead assignment rules. And the next part is email notification. Here I would say select the email alert that I want to include. Obviously this again means that I have created the lead email beforehand, and then I can select it in this list here. So I could select the lead autoresponder or a more specific email template that I have set up. When I've done that, I click Save and Next, and the CRM generates HTML code, which I can then Control-C to highlight it all and Control-C to copy, paste it into Notepad, and then check it out, test it that it works by just simply running it from your local hard drive. So as you can see, the web form there contains the fields that I selected: company, first name, last name, and mobile. And you can even test this from your hard drive simply by filling in the information, click save, and it will go into the CRM. Now, as you can see, I've created a web form here with some fields. Now the next step would be to give that HTML to your web developer, who will insert that into your website and give it the correct look and feel and graphics and anything else that you want to include on the form. Okay, now in this example I have deliberately missed out email. So if, as is often the case, you want to change the fields in a web form that you've already generated, then the steps are that you repeat the process but insert the new field, but you would have to regenerate the form code and give it back to your web developer to reinsert it into your website. Now to do that, it's quite simple. I simply go back to the web to lead function, and this time I don't need to create a new form because it's done already. I simply edit the form that we used before, and this time I want to include the email field, so I check the email field and everything else will remain the same. I just click save and next. I copy the regenerated code, now overwrite the previous code, save it, and now on the local version, because I've resaved it, I just refresh, and now you can see that the email field has been included. So in here I can put any enter some information, click save. Now although this is running on the local hard drive, which you should always do and test the version, test the HTML before giving it to your web developer, the process, the function, will work in exactly the same way. And that being that the process will be that the lead information that is entered on the form will be inserted into Zoho CRM as a new lead. Okay, now if you recall, in the web form that I set up, I put in the return URL as zoho.com. So after the user, the lead, clicks submit, they are returned to the web form that you the web URL that you specify in the form creation process. They will also receive the email that you specified in the step number 4, and if you go back to the CRM, go to the Leads tab, there you will see, if I filter by the view called Today's Leads, you'll see John Smith, XYZ Company Limited, the lead that I just entered. Even though this was done using the HTML on the local drive, it doesn't matter. It still works, and that's how you should test it out. And then you can give that HTML to your web developer to put into your website. And that's how you create a web to lead form in Zoho CRM.